Hey everyone, almost a new year. Time for those resolutions we all make.
Yeah.
The ones we swear we'll keep this year.
hmm
But instead of, the same old lose 10 pounds thing, how about we try something different?
I like where this is going.
Let's dig a little deeper this time.
Yeah.
And for this deep dive, we're going to use Lestallion's 50 New Year journal prompts as a jumping off point.
Okay.
We're going to turn reflection into action,
Mm.
you know. Instead of just thinking about our goals, we're going to figure out how to actually achieve them.
And not just any goals, right? These prompts are really about figuring out what makes a successful year for you personally.
Exactly. Less about keeping up with the Joneses
Yeah.
and more about becoming the best version of ourselves.
I love that. It's so easy to fall into that comparison trap, measuring ourselves against some external standard.
Right.
But these prompts, they help you define success on your own terms.
Which I think is so important because
Yeah.
success looks different for everyone.
Absolutely. And the way they're structured, it's like a journey. Yeah. It starts with reflecting on the past year.
Okay.
Then it moves into setting intentions for the year ahead. And finally, it encourages you to embrace the present moment through gratitude.
I like that. A journey, 3 steps. So first stop, reflecting on the past year. Some prompts are all about celebrating your wins, like
Yeah.
what was your proudest achievement, but then there are some that encourage you to look at the maybe not so great stuff too.
Right. Like there's one that asks about a decision you made that maybe changed the direction of your life.
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is. And it makes you think, knowing what you know now, would you still make the same choice?
I think that's such a valuable exercise.
Mhm.
It's not about dwelling on the past or wishing you could change things. It's more about understanding how your choices have shaped you.
Exactly. It's like analyzing your own decision-making process, which can be super helpful going forward. And I love what Lestallion says about this. The past year may have been filled with both highs and lows, but each moment has contributed to your growth. Carry the lessons with you, knowing they've made you stronger.
That's a really powerful quote because
Yeah.
it's saying, even if we messed up or things didn't go exactly how we planned, there's still something valuable to be gained from those experiences.
Yeah,
It's all about finding those lessons and using them to move forward.
absolutely. And that leads perfectly into the next category, which is setting intentions for the year ahead. But this isn't just about vague goals, right? This is about figuring out those actionable steps you can take to make those goals a reality.
So instead of just saying, I want to be healthier, I might say, I'm going to cook dinner at home 3 nights a week. Something specific and doable.
Exactly. Make it tangible. And there's this great prompt in here about cultivating a new habit.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It really pushes you to think about, like, what's one specific habit you want to develop? And most importantly, how are you actually going to make it stick?
That's a good question. What about you? Is there a new habit you're thinking about for yourself?
Well, I've been thinking about disconnecting from work in the evenings. It's easy to blur those lines.
Oh, yeah.
But setting boundaries is so important, especially if you're someone who, easily feels overwhelmed. Our listener can probably relate to that.
Boundaries. I'm glad you brought that up. There's actually a prompt about that, too.
Yeah.
It asks, what boundaries do you need to set this year to protect your time and energy?
Ooh, I like that one. So that's something we could all benefit from thinking about.
Totally. And Lestallion says, the start of a new year is a chance to set intentions with purpose. Each goal, no matter how small, is a step toward creating the life you envision for yourself.
That's a good one. So
Yeah.
it's not just about the goal itself, but about creating the right environment for that goal to thrive.
Exactly. And that might mean setting boundaries, saying no to things, prioritizing your well-being. And these prompts really emphasize that.
Mm.
But there's one more piece to this puzzle, right? It's not all about looking back and looking ahead. These prompts also remind us to embrace gratitude for the present moment.
Yes. Gratitude isn't just this warm, fuzzy feeling.
Right.
There are studies that show that practicing gratitude can actually rewire your brain for more happiness.
Wow, really? So just by focusing on the good things in our lives, we can actually change our brain chemistry.
It's amazing. It's like a superpower we all have access to.
I love that. So how do these prompts help us actually, make gratitude a part of our lives?
Well, they encourage you to see gratitude as a daily practice,
Oh,
not just a once-a-year reflection. For example, one prompt asks you to consider something you often take for granted. What would that be for you?
that's a good one. I think I probably take my health for granted more than I should.
It's so easy to do, especially when we're so busy.
Yeah, it's like you don't realize how much you appreciate something until it's gone.
Exactly. But these prompts remind us to appreciate those things now, even the small things.
Right. And there's some prompts that encourage us to find gratitude even in the face of challenges,
Ah,
which I think is so important because that's where the real growth happens, when
mm.
we can shift our focus from what's wrong to what's still good, even when things are tough.
That's where resilience comes from. That ability to find those little glimmers of hope and appreciation,
Right, yeah.
even when things are hard. And that leads us perfectly to the next set of prompts, which focus on.
Wait, before we jump ahead, I'm curious about that prompt about finding gratitude in a challenge you face today.
Oh, yeah.
How would you approach that one?
Hmm. Well, I think it's about recognizing that even difficult situations often contain hidden lessons or opportunities for growth.
Oh, I see.
Maybe the challenge helped you develop a new skill or forced you to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, sometimes it's not about the situation itself, but how we choose to respond to it and what we learn from it.
Exactly. And now, onto those relationship-focused prompts. So we're back, still diving deep into these 50 New Year journal prompts from Lestallion. And up next,
Relationships.
yeah, relationships.
It's funny because, sometimes when I think about New Year's resolutions, I get so focused on ME that I completely forget about,
Oh, I know.
my connections with other people, which is
Yeah.
kind of silly, right?
Yeah,
Because those connections are so important for our well-being.
they really are. Relationships are like the foundation of a fulfilling life.
Yeah, and these prompts do a good job of highlighting that.
Mm.
So what kind of prompts are we talking about here?
Well, there's one that asks you to reflect on a friendship that you really cherish. And it
Mhm.
makes you think about, like, how can you show appreciation for that person?
I like that. Sometimes just a simple thank you or a heartfelt letter can really go a long way in strengthening those bonds.
Absolutely. And then there's another one that encourages you to think about how you can be more supportive in your relationships.
Okay.
It asks you to recall a time when you felt truly supported by someone and then consider how you can reciprocate that support.
That's such a powerful exercise. It's like that saying, be the friend you wish you had. We can all strive to be better listeners, offer a helping hand, or just be there for someone when they need us.
Exactly. But it's not just about giving support, right? It's also about recognizing when we need it and being willing to ask for it.
That's a good point. We can get so caught up in being strong and independent that we forget that it's okay to lean on others sometimes.
Yeah, totally. And that kind of brings us to the importance of setting boundaries in relationships.
Oh, yeah, boundaries. We talked about those earlier in the context of work-life balance,
Mm-hmm.
but they're just as important in our personal relationships, right?
Absolutely. There's a prompt that specifically asks, what boundaries do you need to create within certain relationships to maintain your mental well-being?
Which can be tough,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially with people you're really close to.
Yeah, it definitely takes practice. But it's important to remember that setting boundaries is an act of self-care,
Hmm.
and it ultimately benefits both you and the other person.
So we've talked about appreciation, support, and boundaries. What other relationship insights do these prompts offer?
Well, there's one that focuses on communication. It asks how you can improve your communication skills this year
Ooh,
and how better communication can deepen your relationships.
it's so true. Communication is key. We often assume we're communicating effectively, but there's always room for improvement.
Always. Whether it's learning to listen more attentively, express ourselves more clearly, or simply being more present in our conversations.
It's like learning a whole new language, right?
Swoosh.
The language of connection and understanding.
Love that. And then there's a prompt that encourages us to think about those small actions we can take to express our care and appreciation for the people around us.
Oh, the little things.
Yeah, the little things. Like, it doesn't always have to be a grand gesture.
Right, like a handwritten note, a surprise cup of coffee,
Yeah.
or even just a listening ear.
Exactly. Those little acts of kindness can make a world of difference.
And lastly, there's one that challenges us to make time for the people who matter most.
Yeah, even when life gets busy.
It asks, how can you prioritize your loved ones this year?
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you're carving out time for those heart-to-heart conversations and shared experiences that make life so rich.
So important. Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, our relationships are what truly matter.
Couldn't agree more. And that brings us back to that broader theme of, creating a life that feels aligned,
Mm-hmm.
authentic,
Yeah.
and fulfilling. And that definitely includes nurturing those connections that bring us joy and support.
It's like building a strong foundation for a happy and meaningful life.
I love that analogy.
So, ready to move on to the final section of these prompts?
Let's do it.
These are the ones that focus on looking toward the future. They encourage us to, embrace the unknown
Ooh, exciting.
with hope and excitement, to dream big, and to step outside of our comfort zones.
Okay, I'm ready to get inspired. What are some of the prompts that stand out to you in this section?
Well, there's one that asks what excites you most about the possibilities of the coming year. It's all about tapping into that sense of anticipation and wonder and allowing yourself to, really dream big.
No limitations.
Exactly. And then there's another one that challenges you to think about how you can step outside your comfort zone this year.
Okay.
It's a reminder that, growth rarely happens when we're playing it safe.
That's so true. We need to push ourselves beyond those self-imposed limits and embrace those opportunities that feel a little scary,
Yeah.
but also really exciting.
Yes, embrace the scary. And remember those fears we talked about earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a prompt that encourages us to identify those fears that are holding us back
Oh, interesting.
and to actively work towards releasing them.
It's like taking off those invisible weights that have been dragging us down.
Exactly. And when we let go of those fears, we create space for new possibilities.
New beginnings.
Exactly. And there's another prompt that asks you to picture your life 1 year from now.
Oh, cool.
Like, how do you envision it? And it's not just about external achievements.
Right.
It's also about who you want to become.
It's like painting a picture of your ideal future self.
I love that. And then taking those inspired actions to make that vision a reality.
And speaking of inspired action, there's another prompt that focuses on aligning your actions with your values.
Yes.
It asks, what values do you want to prioritize this year?
Mm-hmm.
And how will those values guide your decisions and actions?
So important, right? When we live in alignment with our values, our choices feel more authentic.
Yeah.
And our actions have more impact.
Okay, so we've talked about embracing the unknown, stepping outside our comfort zones, releasing our fears, envisioning our future selves, and aligning our actions with our values.
That's a lot.
It is. Is there anything else in this looking toward the future section?
One more prompt, and it's a beautiful one. It asks, how do you hope to make a positive impact on the world around you this year?
Ah, I like that.
It encourages you to think about, how can you contribute to your community or causes you care about?
We all have the power to make a difference, right?
Yeah.
Even in small ways.
Exactly. Whether it's volunteering our time, donating to a cause, or simply spreading kindness,
Mm-hmm.
we can all make the world a better place.
Sometimes those small acts of kindness can have the biggest ripple effect.
Totally agree.
It's like a chain reaction of positivity spreading outwards.
Love that image. So we've come full circle, haven't we?
We have.
From reflecting on the past to envisioning the future, these prompts have taken us on a journey.
A journey of self-discovery and growth.
Exactly. And they've highlighted the importance of our relationships, our values, and our connection to something larger than ourselves.
So much good stuff packed into these 50 prompts.
It's true. And remember, Lestallion has tons of resources on their website,
They do.
including the full list of prompts. So be sure to check it out and explore the ones that really resonate with you.
Yeah, don't just listen to this deep dive. Experience it. Grab a journal.
Mm-hmm.
Find a quiet space.
Yeah.
And just let the words flow.
Even 5 minutes of journaling a day can make a difference.
It's true.
It's a chance to connect with yourself, process your thoughts,
Yeah.
and gain clarity on what truly matters to you.
And remember, this is your journey. You get to decide what success looks like for you.
So use these prompts as a starting point
Mm-hmm.
and create the year you truly desire.
Make this year amazing. And we're back for the final part of our
Deep dive.
deep dive into these New Year journal prompts from Lestallion.
Yeah.
You know, after going through all of these, I'm really feeling inspired to actually use them this year.
Me too. It's like you can't just listen to them, right? You got to actually do them.
Exactly.
And I think what's really resonated with me is that
What is it?
that emphasis on intentionality, whether it's reflecting on the past or setting goals for the future or even just nurturing our relationships.
Yeah.
It's all about making conscious choices that align with who we want to be.
It's about being proactive,
Yeah.
right? Not just letting life happen to us, but actively shaping our own experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, remember those studies we talked about gratitude, how practicing gratitude can actually change your brain.
Oh, yeah. It can make you happier.
Yeah. And that's a perfect example of intentionality in action.
It is. It's like choosing to focus on the good things, even when things are tough,
Mm-hmm.
can actually make us happier.
Hmm.
It's like we have this power to change our own minds.
We really do. And it also reminds us that, we don't need to make these huge changes all at once.
Right.
Even small actions can have a big impact if we do them consistently.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Love that. And Lestallion, they actually say something similar. As you look toward the future, remember that each day brings new opportunities. Embrace the unknown with hope, knowing that the best is yet to come.
That's so good. I love that feeling of hope and optimism for the future. Like, even when things feel uncertain, there's always that potential for something good to happen.
Absolutely. And, speaking of hope,
Yeah.
there's this one last prompt that I want to share, and I think it really captures the spirit of everything we've talked about today.
Okay.
It's in that looking toward the future section, and it asks, what are you most hopeful for as you enter this new year? Reflect on the dreams and possibilities that fill you with excitement.
That's a beautiful one.
It is, right. It's like giving ourselves permission to dream big and to believe that those dreams can come true.
Exactly.
It's about tapping into that sense of wonder and possibility
Mhm.
and letting that fuel our actions.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage everyone listening to, actually take action. Don't just listen to these prompts, but actually experience them.
Grab a journal
Yes. Find a quiet space.
and just let yourself write.
Even if it's just for 5 minutes a day, it can make such a difference.
It can. It's a way to connect with yourself, process your thoughts and emotions, figure out what really matters to you.
And remember, this is your journey. You get to decide what success looks like for you.
Exactly. And there are no right or wrong answers.
So use these prompts as a starting point. Explore them. Find the ones that resonate with you.
And create the year you truly desire.
Make this year your best one yet.